Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. I reserve the right to change my mind again. I might not do it today. I'm not going to do it today. But I might change my mind again on what I'm going to do. It's a good thing I took yesterday off because I got bit by something. It's still swollen right here. These two fingers were so swollen. I took my ring off. Thank goodness I did, because I don't think I could have gotten it off now. It's all... My husband thinks I got a spider bite, but we've been watching to make sure it was swollen here. It has hurt for the last couple days. And me, being my delicate flower self, just, said, oh, you're just being a delicate flower. But it's still swollen a little bit right here and a little bit in here. And yesterday it hurt under here and on top. We sprayed some kind of topical pain something. Albeit it had expired in 2019, but we still used it. We went through a bunch of medicine. And I said, not one of these things is less than 4 years old. Out of date. Something's better than nothing is the theory we went on yesterday. So I did that. So yeah, this hand really hurt yesterday. Today's the first day it has not hurt in like 3 or 4 days. So that's good. And since I was having a pity party, I was watching Amazon. Amazon has a new series. It is called Travels with Agatha, BritBox of Amazon. Travels with Agatha Christie and Sir David Suchet. I don't know. I think that's how you say his name. The guy that played Hercule Poirot. And she traveled all over the world with her husband. And that's kind of where her books were set. She had written one book when they got married. Or when they started traveling. He did this for England. Her husband did this because England was getting ready to have an exposition and trying to encourage more trade with England around the world in their Commonwealth. And I think it was in 1924. Anyhow, so he went to South Africa, Australia, several, I think India, several countries that were part of England's Commonwealth or had just recently been England's Commonwealth or were going to be. I'm not sure of the timeline on all that part. But anyhow, he traveled all over the world for like 2 or 3 years, and she went with him. And I just started watching it last night. I'm like, okay, I can't watch this otherwise I'll be up all night. So I turned it off. But Sir David Suchet, his father was born in South Africa. And as a lot of English people do have connections to South Africa, obviously. But his grandfather was not born there. But his grandfather went there for work. And his father was born there. His grandfather looks just like him. And he said if you put a mustache on him, he would be Hercule Poirot. Anyhow, at the same time, I was learning about this lady. Same time frame, actually a little bit earlier. She was a rich heiress of a man that discovered gold in California on accident. He took up over an abandoned mine in a town called Bodie, which I have been to as a kid, as a ghost town. And I think it was gold. I don't think it was silver, but it was gold. And in the 1840s is when they discovered gold in California. And this was an abandoned mine from then. And in the late 1800s. Anyhow, he ended up marrying somebody, and they had 3 children, and he discovered gold in this abandoned mine. I'm not explaining this very well at all. I'm sorry. Blame it on my husband thinks it was a spider bite. The spider bite. Anyhow, so her brothers died when they were in school still. Her father died. It was her and her mom, and her mother died basically of a broken heart. So this woman was in her late 20s, mid 20s, a socialite in San Francisco, and also an adventuress. And she went all over the North Pole for all kinds of excursions. And then she would come back to England or the United States and do all this, social stuff. But where I'm going with all this, she lived, half of the year they lived in a summer house in a town called San Rafael. And the other half, so here's San Francisco, and this is the San Francisco Bay. They lived in a little town called Danville, which is across, these are like the Berkeley Hills and the Oakland Hills right here. And then on the other side are these little towns, which they're not little anymore. But this is the town I grew up in, Novato. This is where she spent her early childhood, half the year. Her father had an office in San Francisco before the 1906 earthquake and after. And then she spent part of the year over here. In San Rafael, they lived in a house. Okay, let me see. They lived in a house that is now an event space. No. Called the Boyd Gatehouse. And her last name was Boyd. Louise Arner Boyd. I have had my friend that was out here in April. We had a 90th birthday party for her mom at this house. It's an event space now. And we were in that house. It is like full circle. And there are things that I remember growing up in that area, in that town, Novato and San Rafael being the next big city. There were little tiny things, hamlets in between, but now I think they all are like incorporated. But there was a Boyd Museum. Could have been in that house. I don't know. Now it's an event space. But the name Boyd, I remember as a child growing up. But this woman went all over the world in 1920s and 30s and 40s. And I don't think she ever got married. This was in 1931. And she was going and rescuing people. And it's interesting because when we were in England at William Morris's house, William Morris's wife, they loved Iceland. And they went to Iceland a lot. And she was an artist. And she painted stuff in Iceland. How these people had this kind of gumption back then. She was given medals from England. I mean, just amazing. She went on a couple excursions that were rescue excursions for explorers trapped up in in the Arctic. I think she went to Antarctica too, but it was mostly, I mean, like here is the northern Tromsø, that northern town in Norway. She went all the way up Svalbard a couple times. I'm fascinated with that place. And then Cape Flora way up here. Russia's here. I mean, this was in 1928 to rescue an explorer. And in her other life, she was this huge debutante lady. Experienced polar hunters doff their hats to Miss Louise Arner Boyd of San Rafael, California, who was returned to London after a 6-week trip to the Arctic. I mean, that was her chauffeur. I mean, she was a millionaire at that time. I mean, just fascinating, the gumption of some of these women. Look at this. She killed that polar bear. Ugh, 1926. And just an amazing woman. I'm only on chapter 3. So I might do a journal about her. I might do a journal about the Agatha Christie show. It just started. It was it's brand new. It was made in 2025. Interesting. But today, because my mind is all scattered, obviously, I might just do a painting. I've been doing some mixed media stuff. And here's a blank spot. I try to skip a page in case I want to cut them out. Some more mixed media stuff. They're not done. Oh, some of the stuff I can't let you see. I think I glued all these scraps down, and this was the paper I was looking for. like a month ago. Oh, saw 6 deer this morning. That's the beginning of something. X-ray. Anyhow, I have a picture of some fish I saw on Pinterest. And I would like to do something like this at the beach. I have a new painting from the beach, for the beach, that I got at a garden shop. It was just some local person that put some paintings in the garden shop and said, if you sell them, you sell them. If you don't, you don't. But I went down there to get flowers for the back deck, and I'm like, oh, what is that? Anyhow, it's beautiful. It's like, I think I put it on my video last month. Anyhow, I would love to we have a nice painting in the living room kitchen area because it's all one huge area. And then we have a nice painting in the big bedroom upstairs that I did. And then the bedroom downstairs, I think we put the one that was in the kitchen area in that bedroom. And then the other bedroom upstairs could use a little updating. And if I could find a way to do some fish, I would like to do that. But I'm going to paint these because if I find that I can practice enough and that I like it, I might use these as inspiration. Not completely copy, but they're really bright and perky. I'm still working on some of these old, what do you call them? Jelly gouache. And I keep them with the lid on tight and then in a Ziploc bag. So they're still moist. They're not drying out yet. Okay, I don't even know if I'm going to do this right, but we're going to just try. I might try to do 2. There's 7 here, but they're not all going to fit on here. So, yeah, a lot's happened in the last 2 days. Okay, I have extra paint here. Let me see if I can find a blank piece. My husband got a new printer yesterday, so hopefully we won't have the ghost in the printer anymore. But I had a lot of printer paper that I could paint on. I think I've used almost all of it. The printer was not expensive. It's the stupid ink. The ink is almost $200. So I said, it better last a while. He says, well, you better watch out what you print. Because I'm bad about printing a lot of stuff and then putting it like in my Hobonichi. It's like, yeah, well, think about what you're printing. I'm like, okay. So, well, they better last a while. Okay, where's the little mixing plate? I need like an olive-ish green. That's brown. I probably should fast forward this part. I'm trying to do this without drawing anything. Me, the one with no talent. So, we don't know how far we're going to get with this, but we shall see. It may look like a fish and it may not. Okay, we are going in voiceover mode because the obvious. But this is a very abstract picture. I'm not going to show you the original that I used from Pinterest because, number 1, it's theirs. Number 2, I'm far from it. Number 2, but it's supposed to be abstract, colorful, not futuristic, unrealistic fish. It's kind of like a rainbow cacophony of fish. But in the end, you can tell it's fish. Progress. And me using 27 different art products on here. I should have started out with a shape to begin with. I don't know why I trusted my non-existing talent. But anyhow, the whole point of this was fun. I try to say once in a while, every once in a while, I am not trained, obviously, and I do not pretend to be, nor do I teach anything, obviously. My whole entire goal here is therapy and fun. And the fun creates the therapy. And this was fun. I just sat here, kind of didn't think of what's happening in the world, didn't think of how hot our walk was this morning, did think about the 6 deer that we saw, 5 in one place and 1 in another. No fawns. I don't know if the fawns, it's so hot. I don't know. And you put the humidity with all that. It's just ridiculous. We did not have a storm yesterday, so that's good. But the whole point of this is fun and getting away from what's happening in the world, mostly in the United States. Well, there is a lot of stuff happening in the world. Some we created. And it was just fun. It was just fun. It's an in-betweener day. I might branch out from the in-betweeners and do something about Agatha Christie or something about Miss Boyd. I don't know. All I do know today is I was painting wild fish, and I'm sure there's some fish that look just like this in Lake Murray. So that's the whole point of everything, to have fun and to provide therapy for me for what's happening in our world, and which I need drastically to get through what's happening in our world without having a nervous breakdown, because anybody that doesn't believe in what's happening is probably having a nervous breakdown, especially if you're the only one in your social group, the only one in your family group besides my husband, and one of his children, I know for sure. But it's hard to be surrounded by it, truly. So you just sit here and you paint psychedelic fish, rainbow fish. These are rainbow trouts. You just do that to get through a day, and that's the only reason I'm here. And part of my therapy, and part of my fun, and part of the creative aspect of all of this is doing a video. I enjoy that also. So, hello, you're stuck with me. But I added. These are obviously just Michael's craft paint. I didn't use good Liquitex on here or anything like that. But I did put several layers on here. And once I got kind of like a semi-fish shape, and a semi thought process of just, it's kind of like patchwork fish, I decided to break out Neocolor 2s, and I decided to break out Stabilos, and I also decided to break out tempera paint sticks, and add layers to all of this. It needed to be dry though, so I dried it all, and I wanted to use my acrylic markers on it, and I was successful in some places. I don't know if it was too thick of paint, but they really didn't shine the way I wanted them to shine. So then I got out Neocolor 2s. Nothing on the Neocolor 2s was wet. I just used it as a coloring tool on top of the acrylic paint. And I succeeded in bringing out some of the colors that got very muddy at the end here. And then I went over that with tempera paint sticks. And then I came back in a little bit with some acrylic markers again. If you're having a bad day, paint some psychedelic rainbow trout. That's all I got to say. This was so much fun. In all, it was about almost an hour. That's about what I have scheduled here in my extremely busy day of art making in the morning. Is about an hour, as if it were an hour therapy session with a therapist. And really, my therapist is Dr. Tempera, Dr. Neo, and Dr. Acrylic. So that's the doc. It takes 3 doctors to get me to this point. But oh my gosh, this was so much fun. And is it going to be framed? No. Was it fun? Yes. Can maybe I do another one, maybe a little bit better? Yes. Um, this was a beginning stepping stone. And oh my gosh, I know it looks childlike, and it was supposed to be a tiny bit childlike anyhow, because fish really don't look like this. Newsflash, but it was just fun. The actual silver acrylic marker, which is the one I'm using here, was actually the most effective, um, and black. And I added tiny bits of black, but I didn't want a lot of black. I started to outline one or two of them, and I didn't even like that effect, so I stopped. But this was so much fun. Oh, I highly recommend some rainbow trout in your life. Just fun, just fun. They look better than they did in the beginning. I have to say, they're less muddy. They're less muddy. Um, and really and truly, I should have started with just acrylic paint and not the old jelly gouache that I have. But that's okay. It was still fun. It was still fun. Love it. Love it. See what happens tomorrow. Maybe something else rainbow. Who knows? Thanks for watching. Bye.